numerous times to explain to you guys the amount of corruption and the amount of rubbish that goes on in prison, yeah? And this is why every week I always say to you guys, if you have someone that's locked up, if you have someone that's getting into trouble right now, or if you have someone that's straying off that straight and narrow path that they were taught to follow, then tell them to like get on board, follow me, support the page. Don't worry about supporting me. I don't need your support. Like, we need to support each other. Like, I can only do so much on my own, and if you are supporting the cause, then we'll be able to make shit happen, yeah? For example, all the people that are getting harassed when they go to prison visits, especially the mum and dads who are not doing anything wrong. Of course, there's always drugs and stuff being smuggled on the inside, but there's also innocent mums and dads who are getting told to open their mouth, pull out their tongue, roll their tongue up and down, you know, flick their hair back. Like, yes, it's policy that they're allowed to do these things, but it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, they cannot strip you. Remember, to everyone that goes to jail visits, or to everyone that's just starting off helping someone that's doing a lagging, meaning someone that's just started off prison, they cannot strip tease you. Strip search you when you're going inside the prison. Did I just fucking say strip tease? So, hey, this is what happens when you go live, yeah. And this is what it's about. You all know that I can freaking make podcasts and I can put it out there and edit it, make myself look professional, make myself look good, make myself look pretty, but I don't. I get on here bloody live and I put my head on show in order to help these youngsters and young adults stray off that path that's gonna lead them down the path that I went, you know? Like, I've been there, I've done that, and I don't want them to go down that road. I'm not trying to be a role model. All I'm trying to do is tell my story with the hope that they would move away from this, not only negative things that they're doing, but also move away from the gangs that are trying to recruit them. But before I move on to everything that I'm about to talk about, just remember, guys, if you're going to jail visits this weekend and it's your first time, the screws cannot strip search you, yeah? Only the police can. So if you walk into a prison and for some reason they have suspicion on you, they can say to you, you're going to have a box visit or you're going to have no visit, yeah? All I want you guys to do is to say to them, listen, I have nothing on me, because obviously 99% of people go in there to visit their family members, yeah? And if they ask to strip search you, say no straight away, because only the police can strip search you. Even if they know 110% that you have something on you, they still can't fucking touch you. And this is the thing. A lot of people that I know in the past have been strip searched by screws who have come in to visit, and they didn't realize that screws can't search you. They're not cops, yeah? They can hold you, and then they can call the police to come down, and then the police can search you. But the screws cannot search you. They can go through your car, they can ask you to empty your pockets, but they cannot freaking tell you to strip down naked. You are not a criminal. Remember, you are not allowed to get a visit if you have parole, or if you're on bail. Like, these are all the rules and regulations in prison. So to all of you guys who are going to visits this week to visit loved ones, remember, spread the word when you're out at the front of visits. Like, follow me, TRIGGZ, on TikTok, because I can only do so much. I need everyone to help me build this, help me to boost it over to other countries, because other countries need to know this stuff as well, you know what I mean? One of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about tonight is Supermax. Everyone obviously saw what I was talking about the other day, which was Bass Hemsey, the biggest Underworld figure name in Australia. And also Luffy, one of the Bloodline boys. So with Supermax, the only reason why I talk about things on this platform is because, number one, I've been there. Number two, I was either a part of it, or number three, I was in and amongst everything that happened. Yeah, I will never ever talk about something that I wasn't a part of, like as in some court case that happened years ago, unless their family reached out to me to help expose their case, which is the case in the last 3 weeks. I've had over 100 people reach out to me and ask me to speak about their family members' cases, their family members who are currently being treated like rubbish in prison. I've tried to explain to these people, because I can't go through everyone's messages. I'm getting an influx of messages, but it's all about, if you guys let me know beforehand, I can talk about it during my lives, yeah? And I can't do this without everyone's support. So Supermax, here we go. The first things first, there are statuses in Supermax, yeah? The highest status back in the days used to be EHR, it used to be called Extreme High Risk. That EHR is now called EHS, Extreme High Security. That's what I was on, all right? Bass Hemsey was on the biggest status by himself. They actually created this status just for him because of all the stuff that he was doing when he was in SCG at Lithgow. So if you guys don't know who Bass Hemsey is, all of you that are tuning in from around the world, this guy has the biggest underworld name in the country, in Australia. All right. And when he was at Lithgow prison, and for those of you who don't know, Lithgow prison is in the shape of a coffin. I don't know if that was what the builders were planning to do, but everybody started calling Lithgow the coffin back when I first came into prison 2001. And EHRR is the status that was created for Bass and Bass only, because if you know the case inside out, recordings, like several thousand recordings were captured by police when Bass had a mobile phone in prison and he was talking to guys outside. One of those guys, his name was Goldie, and the crazy Bass Hemsey was like going on a rampage while he was talking on the phone, telling his boys to cut his enemies' ears off, like kneecap them. Like, these were the sort of things that he was saying, yeah. And you know what? I shouldn't even be getting into that type of detail because I don't want to be cut off on here. But I'm just explaining this so that everyone understands. And when he had that mobile phone, they found the mobile phone, and then the commissioner at the time, he created that status, EHRR, and that's called Extreme High Restricted Risk. It's very, very harsh to be on that. Like, you only get $25 buyout. Everyone gets 120. These guys only get $25. Like, they've upped it now, I think, to about $30. But when they first created this status for Bass, he was only allowed limited phone calls. He wasn't allowed visits from his family, and he was only allowed to have legal visits with 2 lawyers, yeah, and a barrister. Today, EHRR is like has the most inhumane rules and regulations, yeah. And when I first came to prison to Supermax, only Bass was on EHRR, but now all the boys that are charged with terrorism are all on EHRR. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story, yeah. This is a pretty sad story, but it's a story that needs to be heard by the masses. And when I say masses, I'm not just talking about Australia, I'm talking about the world. The world needs to hear this friggin' story, yeah? 2016, I had gone back to Supermax. It's 2016. And I had already been there 2014. I got out of Supermax after a year in the bit, and then I got taken back to Supermax, yeah? I'm going to get into the details of Supermax in another live where I was unjustly held. So I was plucked out of the main for no reason, and I was put into Supermax. But I'll get into that story next live. When I got there in 2016, I was kicking back by myself, and then out of the blues, 4 boys, all 18 years old, came and they ended up next to me, yeah? So 3 were next to me and 1 was like in another part, but you can still talk to him. These guys were all 18 years old when I met them, all Lebanese Muslim boys, yeah? And they had all come in for terrorism. This was their first time in prison. Oh, the 3 that came in, it was their first time in prison, and the other one, he came from Lithgow prison. I don't know if you guys heard, but at Kempsey prison, he carved a eye for an eye, like on an Aussie, because of the Muslim boys who were getting into his ear, trying to make him an extremist. So this kid came in for like a robbery. He's the best kid too. His name's Harachi, yeah? Best kid, and big heart, yeah? And so his thing is, if you're his friend, he'll go above and beyond for you. Like, he'll go so above and beyond for you that you'll be like in disbelief, all right? I'm not going to talk too much about his background and his family. I'm just going to stick to what I'm talking about. When the older boys got into his ear to do stupid things, this kid did it, you know, because he was so loyal, not only to his gang that he had joined back in the days, which was BFL, but he was also very, very loyal to his faith, which was being a Muslim. When I met these 3 boys at Supermax, all I could hear was not crying, yeah, but it was wailing. When I say wailing, like they were screaming at the top of their lungs, yeah. Now, Harachi wasn't a part of this crying and wailing because he had already been in prison, so he knows the go. He was the one that was on the outside of us. I was in the middle with 3 other guys, yeah? And when the wailing was going on, I could hear banging, like bang, bang, bang. And I was like, wow. And I realized these guys were punching the wall, you know? And I was like, wow, like, yeah, I consider myself a strong guy, but hitting those walls in Supermax, bro, you're gonna F up your hands, you know? And this went on for 3 nights straight. And the wailing, when I say wailing, guys, I mean like when you hear females during a funeral, that's what these young 18-year-old guys were doing, yeah? And I'm not going to say all 3 of them were doing it, because I know one guy, he was trying to calm them down, but I'm pretty sure he was in and amongst the guys who were carrying on when they first came in. And I couldn't just stand by and listen to these young guys be like this. So I yelled out to them and I started talking to them. Remember, I don't know these guys. And the situation with the young Islander boys had already occurred. So I'm already in that mentality where I'm like, F everyone, I'm just going to do my time and go home. Like, I've helped so much people, and especially these young cunts, and then they did this to me, you know? So I was already in that FU mode, but I don't know, like, my mom always told me that my heart's so big, my loyalty is a blessing, but my loyalty is also my curse. And so when I heard these guys carrying on, I had to yell out to them because I felt so sorry for them, you know? And I said to them, boys, please, like, stop, like, carrying on like that. The screws can hear you. You know, I don't know what you guys are in for, but you have to freaking maintain composure. If the screws hear you carrying on like that, they're gonna turn around and treat you guys like shit, you know? Like, you have to pray to Allah, if that's who you guys are praying to every day, and ask Him to give you the strength, you know, to carry on. Because these guys were not only making a fool of themselves, because screws were looking at them every day, and female screw was coming over to my side, and she was like putting her hand over her face, like as in, I'm sick of listening to these guys cry. But she wasn't doing it in a rude way. She was doing it like as in she felt sorry for them. Like, this was an officer, a female officer, you know? And there's some hard ass screws in Supermax, and so they didn't really care, but they don't have to care. They're there to do their job. So I didn't really hold a grudge against them when they were just like, there's your food, and didn't really pay attention to their ranting and wailing, yeah? And as much as I tried to help these guys, they kept going. But then finally, on the third day, we were allowed to go out of the back of our cells, and that's where you're able to talk properly. Because when you're talking through the walls, you have to freaking scream, yeah? But we finally got the doors open. I went outside, and then I gave them that heart-to-heart talk. I go, please, boys, I'm here if you need me. You need food. I sent them food, whatever they needed. And I said, but I can't do much for you guys because I'm stuck in the cell, yeah? And I go, but I can see that you guys all love your faith so much. So pray, you know? Like, you can't show these screws your weak side. Otherwise, they'll take advantage of you. And they were all very appreciative. And mind you guys, every prison, when you get there, it's very easy to get a TV. In Supermax, back when I was there, no TV, mate. So imagine this, yeah? You're an 18-year-old kid. You walk inside a cell. There's no TV, no radio, no nothing. Yeah, not even a book. All you got is your sheet, your blanket, and your pillow. Yalla, close the door. You're on your own. You know? Just you and Allah. You know, or just you and your God. After I spoke to these guys, they finally got their phone call. And back then, this is how inhumane Supermax is. Back then, they only used to give us one phone call a week. Oh, bro. You know how much it did my mum's head in when I called her once a week? Like, I couldn't even call anyone else. I couldn't call my missus, no one. Like, I had to choose between, am I going to call my parents or am I going to call my missus? You know, like, one phone call a week. Imagine that. All you want to be gangsters out there, you know? And when they got their phone call, it settled them down because they finally spoke to their parents and their loved ones. But still, they were in shock that they were inside prison. And when they explained their story, pretty much they told me they were locked up for terrorism charges. And just like every other inmate, they were making every excuse under the bus to try to make themselves look innocent. Yeah, and to this day, they are all still locked up. Now, I'm going to explain to you this, yeah? What I did back then is something that I've done for many people, especially like the islanders, but I used to do it for any nationality, yeah? The Kuri boys, like, in the Muslim faith, for those of you who don't know, there's like different types. There's like Sunni, there's Shia, and there was a Shia young kid at Wellington prison. The officers had locked him in his cell, yeah, because he tried to fight them. But at the time at Wellington, the Muslim boys were all praying, and this Shia kid, he had walked at the front and he prayed with the Sunni boys. And I didn't know, like, there was politics behind religion, the Muslim faith. I thought everyone was just one. Until afterwards, that Shia kid got stabbed several times, yeah? And after he got stabbed, he got taken away. And because he tried to argue and fight with the screws, the squad dipped him upside down, handcuffed him, and threw him in the cell. And remember, this kid just finished getting stabbed, yeah? Now he's in his cell, he goes sees the doctor, and then they put him in his cell, and he's still ranting and carrying on to the screws. And then guess what happened? The squad left him in there, yeah, with no blanket, no sheet, just his mattress, his pillow, and a toilet. And this was for 3 days. I could hear him shivering from my cell. I was next door to him, yeah. This was at Wellington, I think it was 2012. And I yelled out to him, hey buddy, you all right? And he wouldn't talk to me, yeah? But then on the third night, because he always swears, like constantly, and I thought maybe this kid's got mental health. Guess what happened? He didn't have mental health. He was just carrying on every day because he was freezing his ass off, yeah? So on the third day, when I yelled out to him, I sent him food, and he started like trusting me and started talking to me, yeah? Then he explained to me the story, how he hasn't had a sheet or a blanket in 3 days. Like, let's see all you wannabe cunts that keep belittling me on social media last 3 days without a blanket and sheet, yeah? Like, this kid is so strong, like, I'll give it to him, you know, like, he did real time. He did it hard, yeah? And being me, I buzzed up and I asked to see the squad. The squad come down, and then I said to them, look guys, I have a TV and I have a Breville. I said, take my TV, take my Breville, I don't give a damn. And I said, and all I ask is for you guys to give that kid next door a blanket. The squad looked at me and they're like, what's the issue, Pete? And I said, nah, there is no issue. I go, I'm living lux here, yeah? I got everything. But I can hear these kids shivering from the other side. And I said to the screw, I wouldn't even wish this on your kids. And I go, and you've got the nerve to treat this kid like that. I go, I don't care if he's swearing and carrying on at you guys. Like, fuck me dead. Like, seriously, you haven't given him, he hasn't had a blanket and a sheet in 3 days. And I think it got through to the squad's head. He goes, look, give me a second. And then the squad left. They came back probably about half an hour later, and then they banged on my door, and I said, yeah, chief, I go, my Breville and my TV's on the ground, you can take it, like that. And then they turned around and said to me, nah, it's all good. We spoke to the boss, and yeah, we're gonna give him blankets and sheets now. So they went and gave him the blankets and sheets, and then when he yelled out to me, like obviously he was very thankful and whatnot, and I didn't do it to hear him say thank you. I just did it because that's the type of person I am, yeah? So in Supermax, after those 3 young guys finally made it to their allocated wings, they were now happy because they were next to other Muslim boys who were encouraging them to be strong. And the reason why I'm telling this story is to highlight the fact that that prison isn't the place to go to. These guys were 18 years old, yeah? And remember, I haven't lost my way while I'm talking to you guys. The EHRR, the extreme high restricted risk that Bass was on, was now placed on the boys who were charged with terrorism. So when those young kids come in, they actually thought that this was prison, Supermax. You know, 1 phone call a week. So they were thrust straight into Supermax. They were put onto they weren't EHRR yet. This happened until a year later. But when they were put into Supermax, they actually thought that this was prison. Like, this is what you got to deal with. They didn't know that in the main, you get a TV, you get a Breville, you can buy heaps of food. They didn't know that. So they were shocked at the fact that nobody cared about them and they had to fend for themselves. And the only way they could survive was by talking to each other about religion. This is what they did on a daily basis. I was the only non-Muslim over there. I was surrounded by Muslim boys, and every day they were talking about their religion, yeah? 2017, all the terrorist boys were put on EHRR, so now all of them have got this, to the status of Bass Hemsey. All of them were only allowed to get $25 to $30 buyout. All of them were not allowed to have contact visit with their family members. All of them were only allowed to have certain amount of legal visitors. Like, these guys, they did hard time, all right? Fast forward 2017 all the way to 2023 when I went back to Supermax, yeah? I was shocked because when I got there, remember those young boys I was telling you about? I bumped into them again. So first time I met them was 2016, then I met them again 2023. And now they're all grown up. And all of them are big, muscly guys now because they train hard and their faith is still the same. But they had gone through a big journey of living and learning, especially from their mistakes, yeah? The first thing they all said to me when they saw me was, thank you very much for calling out to us back when we first came in at 18 years old. Like, your words was the thing that comforted us, you know? Especially you being a non-Muslim, like, we were shocked that you were even willing to talk to us, you know? And the young kid that I'm talking about, Harachi, it's a sad story because the young brother, being so loyal, he ended up copying 44 years on top of the sentence he already had. So I'm pretty sure when I was with him in 2016, he only had 18 months left to go before he went home, yeah? I don't know the exact years that he copped, but I do know that 44 years is what he had altogether, yeah? A few of the things he did when I was there, he wrote a letter and he said he was going to, one of the hierarchies of the government, yeah? I was there when he wrote it, and I was there when the older boys were telling him to write it, and I was there when they were like, G'ing him up, you know, yeah, do it. He wrote it, I reached out to him and I said to him, bro, don't send that letter. Like, you know, this is your life you're talking about. I go, do you realize the difference between being a gangster and being someone in the government? I go, have a look around the world, bro. You know, like, governments run the country. Do not do this. And I said to him, you should know best because you're from Middle East countries, you know, mate, you get Oche for stuff like that, you know? And he's so loyal that he did it anyway. Even, who am I? I was nobody to him at the time, you know? Like, now he's a very close brother of mine. He sent that letter, and guess how long he got? This one here goes out to all you guys that are trying to be gangsters right now, yeah? Those of you who are trying to be loyal to the wrong people, all right? He got 7 years extra for writing he was gonna one of the government officials, all right? 7 years extra. Then, cut a couple of years later, the older Muslim boys who are considered extremists talked him into beating another inmate up, yeah? So loyal is this young brother, he went and did his duties as a Muslim, not as a gangster. He went there as a Muslim, all right? He tied this kid up. Long story short, he got charged with kidnapping. Like, how can you kidnap someone in prison? But yeah, he got charged with that, yeah? And numerous other offenses from what he inflicted upon this inmate during the process of the guy being tied up. Guess how long he got for that? So all you guys out there that are living the gang life and you think you're ready for prison and you think you're ready for all the big time manipulators in prison, he got 10 years extra. Remember, he only had 18 months to go till he went home when I first met him. Then he got 7 years, then he got 10 years, all out of loyalty, you know? And I haven't even got started, like, about the loyalty Harachi had. This kid, like, he's such a kind-hearted kid. Like, he loves his family, like, especially his mum and sisters, yeah? And I didn't understand, like, he just wasn't clued on to what he was doing because of his loyalty, yeah? Like, for me, I want to do my time and go home to my family. For him, his priority was his his religion and his loyalty to his newfound family, his newfound brothers, yeah? Didn't realize that they were manipulating him. Then came the day where now he was looking at, he had 7 years and 10 years on top of his sentence. That's when he didn't care anymore. Bass Hemsey come along and recruited him into BFL, yeah? And when he was recruited into BFL, for all of you in the underworld that know, at the time, the Helchers and Hemseys were at it, yeah? And the wrong thing Harachi did was get involved. And the only reason why he got involved is because Bass was the one who was in his ear, like, get ready, you know, it's on, it's war, you know, my love for you is never ending, you know, I'm your loyal big brother, just follow in my footsteps. Harachi being Harachi, yeah, all good, done. Guess what happened? Everyone ended up turning on Harachi, like all the Muslim boys in that year. The extremist boys turned on him because he wasn't following the faith anymore. The Houchers and the other boys that followed them turned on him because he was with Bass. And then he ended up realizing his mistakes, but it was too late. The bloke's already got 10 years and 7 years, yeah? Then he ended up copying more years for other stuff that he did, yeah? Including burning his cell down, yeah? And what I don't understand is, all right, the guy had made a big mistake when he was at Kempsey by doing that eye for an eye. So for those of you who don't know, around the world, there was a veteran, and he was an Aussie, yeah? This guy started talking to Harachi about killings that he did during the time he was in the army, and the people he was talking about was Harachi's people. So Harachi turned on him, and Bass team stabbed him and ended up carving eye for an eye on the side of his face, yeah? And straight away the media put him on the terrorist, you know, put him on the extremists, but they didn't even realize the mental health that Harachi had gone through. Like, this kid had been through a lot his whole life, you know? He even told me about a stage when he was beaten up a lot, yeah? When he was a kid. And this is the thing. Instead of the media doing their homework, instead of the screws and cops doing their homework, all they wanted was a stripe, you know, an extra stripe so they can reach the levels to get that extra pay, yeah? They didn't look into Harachi's history. Like, the guy's got a lot. I'm not going to explain to you about his mental health, but he's got a lot of problems, yeah? And they didn't look into it. They didn't care. He was 18 years old. And when he got to Supermax, like, he was now stuck with all older boys. What they should have done is made a section for the young offenders, you know, those who are 18 years old, because him and all the other younger boys, they ended up going to like war with all the other. There was just like constant bickering inside Supermax. For those of you who think that Supermax is ruthless because all these high profile names are in there, no, Supermax is not ruthless. Who is ruthless there are the inmates. Supermax is number one, inhumane, and number two, it's a kid brain prison, yeah? They treat you like little kids. Back when I was there, you have to be good to get a TV, all right? Stage one, you get a TV. You have to be good for 3 months to get a TV. So for the first month, if you be good, you get a radio. Then you have to be good for 3 months to get a TV. And then on the 4th month, you get a Breville, so on and so forth. You got to work your way up the levels. This level system, Bass Hemsey took it to court, and now this level system no longer exists in prison, yeah? BMLs, that's what it was called. Remember I was telling you guys, Bass is very, very smart when it comes to legal matters, yeah? But his problem is, he just doesn't give up. Like, every moment of the day, that guy's always got a hidden agenda. That's all I can say about him. And with Harachi, God love him, like he's now learnt his lesson, but far out, it's too late. Like he's still got about 33 years to go. Like actually, about 33 or 32 years to go, you know. Remember, he only had 18 months when I first met him. And this is what I keep trying to embed into the brains of you youngsters that are watching this, yeah? And for you parents that are watching it, hey, I don't care if you screen record my live, like show it to your kids and show it to those of your family members who are straying off that straight and narrow path that they were taught to follow, you know? Because it's not surviving that you have to worry about when they go into prison. Surviving is not an issue, yeah? It's people who are at the top of the ranks in the criminal world manipulating your kids. That's who you have to worry about. The screws, the hierarchies, the government, they don't care if you're 18 years old. They're going to throw you into the deep end and you're going to be stuck there with these guys who are getting in your ear. They're joining gangs and then they're running around. Look at what happened to these OC flops that I had the issue with. Hey, so many of them have been beaten up and stabbed from my side, yeah? And so many of them have been involved in situations with other gangs. They've got dramas with every single gang, these OC guys, yeah? And that's why it's not an issue to me, because these guys have issues with everyone, yeah? But guess what? None of these kids even know what they're fighting about. Like, they joined this gang because they were told, it's islanders together, we stick together, the younger boys against the older boys. And then they were getting hammered by the Lebos, hammered by the Koori boys. Like the Koori boys up at Wellington, hammered the hell out of them, yeah? And none of them thought they were gangster anymore after that, you know what I mean? And this is what I'm saying, like, if you see a lot of these OC guys, a lot of them ended up in protection, you know? Because at the end of the day, they're joining and they're thinking they're tough when they're in a group, but you never stay in one prison. So as soon as you leave that prison, you are now vulnerable. So there's two ways of getting out of it, yeah? You can either play the mental health card and you won't get put into a prison with your enemies. Or you can just tell the screw straight up and be a little pussy and say, hey, I can't go there because Bloodline is there. Or I can't go there because that other gang is there that I can't be with, all right? So to all you parents out there that that have family members who have just gone in, remember, don't really worry about their safety. That's not the issue. You have to worry about the people that are up there in the underworld who gets in their ear. You know, like I know a lot of innocent guys that came into prison normal and ended up going out junkies, yeah? Ended up going out and doing stupid things for big bosses and ended up coming back into prison for another 10 years. I swear, I could even tell you a story about a young kid that was 23, Tongan kid, yeah? I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to belittle him or his family, but he joined BFL as well. And when he got out, the BFL boys told him he had to be Muslim, yeah? To join the gang. This kid, Tongan kid, was a Christian his whole life. And he got manipulated so much that he was like, all right, I'll become a Muslim. And then he went and tattooed BFL on the top of his eye. He gets out, he runs amok for the BFL boys, and then the war broke out with BFL, which was Blacktown chapter and Bankstown chapter, yeah? And when he went back into prison, here's this innocent young Tongan kid thinking like, yeah, my gang's strong, BFL, rah-rah this and rah-rah that. He gets to a prison where his own crew were, but he didn't realize that both factions were now at war. So when he gets there, they walk over to him and the Bankstown BFL, and they're like, oi, you Blacktown BFL? And he was like smiling, he was like, yeah, I'm with the boys like that. Boom, the Lebo boys jumped him. And he didn't know why. You know, like to this day, when I saw him again, probably about 3-4 years ago, I asked him, like, I go, bro, like, what happened that day? Is it because of the other side? He goes, yeah, Pete, but I didn't know. Like, I just thought we were all brothers, Muslim brothers. Then I'm walking over to shake their hand and then they jump me. And now again, you know, to all you youngsters out there, this is what you're going to be dealing with when you go into prison. But not only in prison, this is what you're going to be dealing with when you see these older boys on the outside, or when you see these guys that are your age but have more experience than you in the criminal world, this is what you're going to be dealing with. You know, like a lot of guys who have been in juvie and that, they'll come out, and then the other guys who have never been there and done that, they'll start following suits. All of a sudden they want to be rappers. All of a sudden they want to be gangster. All of a sudden they don't care about prison, but as soon as they hit prison, straight away they regret it. Let me tell you one of the funniest stories, yeah? One of the funniest stories is when I was at Silverwater and there was this Tongan screw, yeah? He starts laughing and carrying on, and I turned around because I was eating and I was thinking, oh, what's this guy laughing and carrying on about, you know? He starts walking through, like past the other pod into where I was, you know, and I heard one of the Tongan boys in my side, and it was like this Tongan screw was laughing on purpose, so someone could ask him, what are you laughing at, yeah? And obviously the Tongan inmate fell for it, and he goes, yeah, what's so funny, bro? Like that. And the screw turned around and goes, hey, I just saw a 1-4 and a 21 district guy doing laps together. There's this big rubbish war going on the outside and on social media about 21 district and 1-4, and I'm standing over there and I'm like, hang on a second, I'm their age, and they're doing laps together like friends. And so when this Tongan screw yelled out to them, hey, yo, aren't you guys 21 district and 1-4? Straight away, these two boys split, and they were like, F you dog, where are this, to the Tongan screw. And the Tongan screw just started laughing and he walked off. Why? Because he knew the dramas on the outside, but he was shocked when he saw that they were walking together, you know? And this is what I'm saying. All you guys out there on the streets right now that's repping your crew, repping your area, and then getting inside and calling peace with your ops just so you can walk the yard together, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Prison, like, it's a different territory. You know, like the mafia guys, I've seen cartel guys come into prison. I remember this other guy, he had 18th Street tatted on his back. He's from America, yeah, tatted up, but he had 18th Street. And I remember like 18th Street was a big gang in America, yeah? And so when I was at Park Lee at 18 years old, I saw a Russian guy who's in the Russian mob. I saw Italian mafia over there, and I saw this 18th Street guy, and I was thinking, wow, I thought it was just going to be Aussie criminals, but obviously, like, you got all these big-time criminals here as well, you know? And these were the guys that you would want to network with, you know? So when everyone tells you that prison is like a university, because when you go in there, number one, you become more wise, and number two, your network in the criminal world becomes bigger. It's the truth. That's what happens. That's what happened to me. You know, I was shocked when I was at court and the judge said to me, where did you get all your money from? Blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. And I was like, Your Honor, if you had a look at my rap sheet, I'm your typical dumb, violent islander. My whole life, I've just been a violent guy, yeah? And I said, I have never ever been a part of an organized criminal syndicate. I've never been charged with it either, yeah? And I said to the judge, I've never been charged with guns, drugs, or money. So where the hell do you think that I got that stuff? Obviously, I got it from someone who's top tier gangster. And like all of you know, on the newspapers, I explained that Mick Howie was the one that gave me the $4 million to help my guys get out of prison. And the judge wouldn't accept it because the prosecutor and the cops kept talking rubbish, saying that, Vaiusu is a big gangster. Vaiusu, he runs a gang, and these guys, like, they are involved in everything, shootings. Look, this is what the prosecutors were saying. Mind you, guys, there's no evidence of any of this stuff. There's no evidence of any of this stuff. Like, this is the prosecutor's way of trying to get the judge on side. And I didn't realize that in court, I couldn't yell out and say, that's bullcrap. Like, I was saying this stuff, but the judge wouldn't hear it. He didn't take into consideration that on my criminal history, I've never ever been involved in an organized criminal syndicate, you know? So I got F by the judge, F by the police, ended up in prison, and then I did 7 years. Like, what can I do? This story that is another story that I'm gonna be telling you. But back to Supermax, when Bass was placed on EHRR and all the extremist boys, the rest of the boys were put on EHS, extreme high security. That's what I was, yeah? So let me explain to you guys the difference. Obviously, around the world, there's prisons that are 10 times worse than our prisons. I've seen it with my own eyes, but here in Australia, this is how it works. The normal criminals who are in the main, they just get handcuffed everywhere. So if you're gonna go into the truck to go to court, you get handcuffed. If you're in trouble and you're in segregation, you get handcuffed everywhere. But EHS, extreme high security, and extreme high restricted risk, the top T status, we get shackled. So there's a belt around us, and then there's little locks like this, yeah? The handcuff goes through both locks, then they handcuff our hands. So it's not like what you see on the movies where you can move your arms around when you're shackled. Nah, you actually can't move. So pretty much if you have to scratch yourself, I would be doing this. That's what I would be doing if I was itchy, because I couldn't get my hands up. I was shackled, you know? And not only was my hands on that belt buckle, my legs were also shackled. So when I would walk, I could only take one step at a time. And the officers, when you first become an extreme high security inmate, they don't explain to you how things work. So I wasn't wearing long socks. I was wearing ankle socks. And then I had these leg cuffs on my ankles. Oh, bro, mate, my ankles were all scratched up from the cuff. It was so bad. Like I was like, I was feeling like far out. Like, why the hell did I put myself in this position? So, for those of you who know or who think they can handle prison, remember, I'm not trying to be a role model. I'm just explaining this stuff with the hope that you guys learn from it, yeah? Like, when I was shackled and I was going through the motions, I'm all right because I'm in a forward drive. So I've got pretty much 2 guards with me driving me in a forward drive, and then we've got a forward drive in the front with guns and forward drive in the back with guns, yeah? But the normal inmates in the main, they got 2 guards, but they go in a big truck, and there's probably like 10 of them that fit in the truck. With the EHS and EHRR boys, we go by ourselves. Yeah? That's why we're considered high security. So these are the statuses for Supermax. You got EHRR, extreme high restricted risk. Then you got extreme high security. That's what I was. Then you got high security. That's a 3rd tier. Then you got high security, and then NSI, which is national security inmate. Those who get caught with mobile phones and doing drug dealing and whatnot, being heavily involved in organized crime stuff. Those are the NSI boys, yeah? They don't get really treated like us, but that status is pretty bad. Like, you get held back from a lot when you're on that status, and it's bad for parole if you're sitting on as an NSI inmate. Then on the bottom of that, you got ETI, which is a new thing. It's called extreme threat inmate. Back in the days when I was coming through, there was ETI program and the STG program. ETI is the extreme threat inmate program. Those are for those guys who are individual violent offenders. So they can bang and stand on their own, yeah? STG is the serious threat group. Pretty much all the extremist boys who are charged with terrorism, and all the gang leaders end up in STG. And when I was there was a guy named Leafy. He was serving 33 years. This guy was in for murder. Moza Tongahai. He was charged for murder as well. He was there with me. I don't know if you guys know, I don't really want to put her on show, but this girl is an NRL player. and Moza is the one that her father, you know. So I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to hash back up for the family, but he was a big deal inside prison when he first came in, and from his story, the reason why he did it was because that was the guy that used to put it on him a lot, you know, and then he bumped into him, and then things went bad for that guy, you know. For those that were in the extreme, the ETI boys, they are all now considered younger generation postcode gangsters. They all are now like pretty much on ETI, yeah. So it's nothing but you get watched 24/7. Like they keep an eye on you, where you're going, what you're doing. But what we're here to talk about, because I don't want to hash up all the postcode gangs and all that rubbish here. What we're here to talk about is Supermax. So those are the statuses from Supermax. When I was in Supermax, I was next door to Ivan Milat. For those of you who don't know Ivan Milat around the world, this guy was I would say he was the worst serial killer. Besides like another thing that happened, but this guy's name is like big, Ivan Milat, because he didn't only kill the people that he went against, but other things happened too, which I'm not going to get into. Another guy, his name was Malcolm Naden. Very, very, very bad man. He also did similar things to Ivan Milat. I was also with these guys, yeah? Hang on a sec, guys. I just got to do this puzzle. Oh, yeah. Puzzle man. Yeah. Malcolm Naden, he was the guy that was on the run from police for 7 years. He was in Supermax with me, yeah? I'm going to tell you guys a story about this Malcolm Naden, yeah, because he's the most quietest and the most humblest person that was in Supermax. And I already knew what he'd come in for. Like, this guy was dirty criminal, you know, like anywhere he'd go, in the main, his head would be jumped on. Before he came to Supermax, he used to get piece and theses thrown at him from every yard. Like, nobody wanted to see this guy in their yard. So he was in protection, but even protection were throwing this stuff at him, yeah? I'm gonna also explain that you guys know a show back from the 90s, it was called Hey Dad. So the guy that got arrested for his crap, he was with me at Goulburn as well, yeah? He was in protection, and that's where Malcolm Naden was. He was on the same side, yeah? He used to cop it the most. Screws used to walk 5-6 meters away from him when he would go to visits or when he would go to see legal visitors, because the Screws knew that he was going to get hammered with Itche and Peace. Like, if you guys want to know how this happened, pretty much in prison, every jail's got condom boxes, yeah? It's just for safe sex and whatnot, but this is Australian prison. So for those of you who don't know, in the main, in Australia, there is no gay crap that goes on, yeah? In protection, all the gays go to protection, so obviously it probably would happen there. But in the main, this does not happen. In America and everywhere else, mainstream, it happens. Like everything you guys see on movies and everything that you guys see on documentaries, that's in America, not in Australia. That shit was to happen in the main Australia. Every single inmate would turn on that person. So it doesn't happen here in Australia. But Mr. Hey Dad, from that show, TV show, he used to get hammered. And so the condoms, the especially the crew inmates, they used to go and pierce inside the condom, and then they would tie it up, yeah? When they tie it up, they would put a hole like through the condom, and so when he walked past, they would peg it. And when they peg it, as soon as it hit him, it would spray all the pee all over him, you know? And as for the feces, it was the same thing. Like, they used to put it inside a cup or they'll put it inside a plastic bag and just launch it at him. No one was touching with their hands. Everyone that was throwing it was smart enough to use their gloves, but used to get hammered. That hate that, bro. I swear. I never used to care because I was like, hey, you deserve it, your dog, like for what you did to kids, you know? And then that Malcolm Naden, he was another one. He copped it because what he did was to his own family members. Like, bro, I'll give him props because the cops couldn't catch him for 7 years. And I remember, I don't talk to these type of people like, what's called rapist dogs and all that, yeah? So I used to just hear him speaking to the other inmates. And I remember hearing him say one day that when he was running through the woods and trying to get away from the cops, he could never be found because he used to cover himself up with mud. He would hide in trees like late at night, and in the early hours of the morning is when he would come and steal from neighbors' houses, take their food and whatnot. That's how he survived. And he was like eating like grubs and shit like that to survive. This is what I heard him say out of his own mouth, you know. And this was another thing that you know what, I'm not even going to get into that, but I'll get into that next time. Let's just keep going with the story. So these two guys were the worst of the worst. Ivan Milat and Malcolm Naden. Bas Hemsey, biggest name in Australian underworld. And then you got Mick Kanan. Mick Kanan had a bigger name than Bas, obviously, because if you guys don't know, Bas got locked up at 19 for murder. All right, so all this stuff where his name is massive didn't come about until BFL blew up. You know, like everyone inside the system could do exactly what Bas did. Like everyone's got boys, everyone's got a network, like, yeah, but his name blew up after his family helped him elevate BFL. But Mick Kanan, this guy, I was with him, I'm friends with him, but he was the one that turned on his boss. So I'm not going to say that he's the one that killed his boss because he did get found guilty for it, but this guy, when I spoke to him, claims that he had nothing to do with it, and obviously I'm going to believe him because I get along with him. Like, this is his story, it's none of my business, yeah? Him and his crew were one of the strongest crews in the Cross back in the days, and they did a lot in Bankstown. Like, they were strong in Bankstown, plus their boss was well loved by everyone. But the only thing was, from what the boys told me that were in that circle, and also Islander boys who was a part of that era, so they were there when Mick Kanan was doing everything with his Cowies, yeah? I'm not going to explain his Cowies names and all that because these guys are all outside now. They're all living their lives. They're all, having children and getting married. But Mick Kanan is NTR, never to be released. So all of you guys out there that are running around trying to be gangster, running around throwing your gang signs up, just remember that name, Mick Kanan, because he's never to be released. He will never see his family again. You know, God love him. I hope his appeal goes through, but it's not just him. There's a lot of boys who are NTR, never to be released. Darwich, never to be released. Yonki Tan, like, these guys are very good boys, never to be released. Nassim El Zayat, a very good brother, you know. Never to be released. Ramsey Awad, you know, look, these are boys that have been in the system a long time. So remember, I've been in and out of prison since 2001, yeah, and so I saw these guys when they were young. And you know, when I went back into prison and I just finished my 7 years, these guys were all getting older, you know, and it was really sad to see. If you see a picture of Mick Kanan at his prime, bro, this guy was not only muscly, but he was chipped, you know, like abs like you couldn't believe, you know. And now, like, the brother, yeah, he's still strong, but, you know, his age is getting along, you know. And all these guys that I have mentioned, who are never to be released, these are the boys that I have all actually spoken to. So, to everyone who has the nerve to private message me and talk rubbish, mate, get it through your thick head, yeah? I'm not doing this for you. And if you're young, then yeah, I actually am doing this for you. And the reason why I'm explaining this is because I don't want you to end up like these guys who are never to be released. Get that through your fucking head, bro. You know, I'm putting my head on show for this stuff. I'm not here to make money. I don't care. Like, mate, I can do what needs to be done for myself and my family. I don't need to be on here talking rubbish to entertain people. I'm not here to entertain people. I am here to tell my story with the hope that you guys learn from it. So if you want to keep sending your messages, just remember you're just going to get ignored. I'm not going to fall into your little trap and end up going back to prison. There's a lot of people who want to know about Underworld Bill and all these names that are coming up. Haskalachi, yes. I'm not gonna speak on them right now, but I will speak on them. But all I can say to you guys is that Underworld Bill guy, I didn't actually realize who he was. When I heard him talking, I was like, I've never heard of this guy in my life, yeah? And then he started telling a story of where he got stabbed in 2002 by islanders during a war in Pod 9. I was there when that happened. And all I'm going to say is, Bill, obviously people mock him for the way he speaks and the way he carries on. But let me just tell you something, yeah? He's actually the real deal. I was there. Through everything that he went through, I was actually there. So do with that information as you please. I'll touch on the Kalachi family. These guys were also the real deal and whatnot. They ran a lot of things back in the days, but I'm just going to be talking about those boys when I was with them. You know what? Let me just tell you one story. Haskalachi, yeah? When I first met him, I didn't know him from a bar of soap. I was at Lithgow prison. I was in the cell going off because I wanted my thongs. For those of you who don't know, inside prison, when you get to a new prison, you don't get your property. And me, my thing is, I don't give a damn about any luxury items. All I want is my thongs, because there's so much germs inside prison. I would always argue and carry on with when it comes to my thongs, because I don't care. I don't want to walk around barefoot in prison. So I was always going off over my thongs. And then one day when I got to Lithgow, I was offering out officers, and I was saying, bring your gas, bring your shields, bring your batons. I don't give a damn. I was being an idiot, yeah? Because I wanted my thongs. And when they came to me and they were like, man, like, why all these? Like, you're throwing everything around, you've smashed everything. Why? But I couldn't get to them because there was bars in front of me, yeah? So I was just carrying on from behind the bars. And then I was like, mate, all I want is my thongs. And they're like, you gotta wait till tomorrow. You just came here. You're a new inmate. You can't just get your stuff. Otherwise, we have to give it to everyone else too. And I said, nah, I don't care. I want my freaking thongs. Then all of a sudden, I heard a bang on the wall. And I went like that. And I heard, chief. And I listened. And that's when I realized that my neighbor was asking to see the squad that was with me. The squad walked over and goes, yeah, can I help you, Kalachi? That's the first time I'd ever heard the name Kalachi. Like, I already knew the Kalachi family, but I mean like in prison. So this is the first Kalachi that I had bumped into, which was Has, yeah? And can I help you, Kalachi? And Kalachi was like, hey, leave him the fuck alone. And they're like, what? They're like, leave him alone. He's a young kid. Because what's wrong with you? You're always picking on little kids. And remember, I was young back then, yeah? And I was listening, and then they were like, come on, man, don't get involved. Like, you know, he's just going off because he wants his thongs. And these are the exact words Kalachi said. He goes, here, take my thongs. So he must have taken his thongs off his feet and gave it to officers. He goes, give this to him instead of you guys friggin' bringing your gas and your shield and trying to gas him over thongs. Like, mate, all he's asking for is his thongs. He doesn't want to walk around on this friggin' dirty floor. Like, if you guys were getting sweepers to come and clean up these friggin' cells in Segro, then he wouldn't be complaining. Just give him my thongs. That's the story I'm going to end this with, because, you know, nothing but respect to Haskalachi. The officers that day, they didn't have to, but out of their kind heart and because they didn't want Kalachi to go off as well, they came and gave me thongs, which was from Kalachi. And then I was happy, kick back, relax, and just wait for my property the next day. So this is the 1 hour that has passed. I'm gonna end my live here, yeah, because I think I've given enough information for you guys to understand what I have been going through in prison. There's a lot more that I have to give and a lot more that I want to share, but it all comes down to people power, you know, like it's up to you. If you want me here, I'll be here. Before I sign off, I just want to give big love and respects to everyone that was sending gifts through during my lives. Like honestly, you guys don't have to. I'm here to share my story to help the younger generation. But all this love that you guys are showing me, like it was very unexpected and it's greatly appreciated. Honestly, it means a lot. You know, like
these are your top 5 gifters right here.
My manager showing me all the gifters that's here, and I have no words. You know, so that's why I saved my thank yous to the end, just so that everyone here can understand what I'm talking about properly, instead of me like going back and forth with the thank yous. I don't understand social media, so please forgive me if I carry on and I don't thank you, but just know that I appreciate all the love and all the support, and especially all the messages of encouragement. All right, guys, this is TRIGGZ.